Hello and welcome to the Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Slumping Liverpool suffer a third successive defeat as Brazilian wonderkid Estevao scores late for Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Arsenal climbed to the top of the Premier League table in a comfortable 2-0 victory over West Ham, and Manchester United see off Sunderland 2-0 at Old Trafford, offering Ruben Amorim a small sigh of relief heading into the international break. That's what we have coming up in today's episode.
Okay, my friend. Great to see you and Steve working so hard at the weekend.
Very
it was
hard.
a nice weekend to watch in. Good shows as ever. Sort of a Friday, Saturday, Sunday ahead of the international break. I suppose, mate, let's start with one of the big stories of the weekend at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea hosting Liverpool. Liverpool off the back of back-to-back defeats in all competitions. The first little dip maybe under Arne Slot that we've seen of the type. Liverpool concede another late goal, give up another 3 points, drop from the top of the table. Should we start with Liverpool and where we are with them going into this international break, or should we give Chelsea a bit of love from the start?
Let's give Chelsea a bit of love, Rob. And I tell you what, and the game a bit of love. What a game. Mm-hmm. What a game.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best games so far this season. I was surprised at how Chelsea had the energy. I don't know, with the players that they've got out, and the manager made a big thing of there's 8 or 9 players that are unavailable for the game. Obviously, they had the Champions League game where they beat Benfica to Stamford Bridge 1-0 with Jose coming back and all that emotional kind of pull on the game. I just was really knocked out of the game and how both sides went flat out. I thought the midfield area was going to be really competitive. It was incredibly competitive. I thought Chelsea did a really good job, and Maresca did a good job of picking his team. I mean, it's impossible. Maresca's a little difficult to kind of see what he's going to do. But putting Malo Gusto in midfield and not Reece James was different. But when the game started, you could see why. The Chelsea 3 midfield players went right against the Liverpool 3 central midfield players. And it was the Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and McAllister. So it was the 3 for them.
The best 3,
But they were physical, man-to-man. Liverpool couldn't get any football going. I just thought it was a brilliant game. And I think Stephen Warnock said a good advert. It's a bit of a cliche, but it was a great advert for the Premier League. And, the late goal added to the drama, the celebration of Maresca running down the line. I don't know, Rob. I just thought in general, a lot of my notes in this game initially were like for both teams. There was, both teams gave everything. Both teams, it seemed to be an end-to-end game. Both teams had injuries. They used the subs bench a lot. So both teams they kind of went through their options tactically and off the bench. And at the end of the day, Chelsea ended up winning. And with all those players out. Now, I'm not jumping too far ahead, but isn't that a good sign, Rob, that Chelsea, kind of under strength, can still be really competitive against, obviously, the champions right now, Liverpool? I thought they were impressive.
I think that's a big point. I think, like you say, there's lots of good things you can write about both teams. There's lots of negatives you can write, certainly a little bit about Liverpool. The way the game went, the intensity in midfield, playing Malo Gusto in there, pretty much nullifying McAllister's threat and ability for him to get on the ball and as you say, matching up. I thought Caicedo, Rob, is maturing into a proper, that defensive midfield player that we know is key to successful teams. They've got one. They've got one for the next 10 years, mate, and he looks the part. He's starting to look more the part. To that point, I think the team, Rob, this is a team that we've often talked about the youth and the inexperience, the immaturity and getting through difficult times and that. Listen, this was a team that didn't have some of its best players, had injuries on the day, went up against the best team in the country statistically and sitting on top of the league and came out on top, Rob. And again, it's another day and another important step for this Chelsea group. And I'm going to go straight to it, my friend. And might be a little bit of surprise to one or two people. My underappreciated performer of the week, Enzo Maresca, my friend. Enzo Maresca, who...
Been getting a bit of stick, hasn't he?
He's been getting stick. He's been under the spotlight. I thought when was it Tuesday, Wednesday night when they played in the Champions League and Jose's back, it was like a love affair for Jose, and he's just got to sit there on the other side and win the game and not get all the love. He's at one of the most difficult football clubs to manage in terms of, one, that we know the player trading X model, two, the ownership group that have fell out and now seem to be going, but we hear every defeat, the ownership is steaming into the dressing room and not happy with things. He plays a Liverpool team, Rob, where tactically he gets it perfect in midfield, nullifies the big threat from Liverpool. I just think he's one of those managers who doesn't get credit. I think if now and then we credit one or two of the players and say, oh, he's done well today and he looks the part, and, João Pedro looks a good bit of business. But I don't think the manager ever gets a jot of praise. And you know what? For a young manager, it's his first rodeo in the Premier League. Yes, he had Leicester and brought them up. He makes big calls. He's difficult to play against. Technically, he's a very smart operator around the football pitch. He's building something, Rob, that given time, that if you say when Jurgen Klopp went in at Liverpool and it took him 3 or 4 years to get to where he wants to, I think if you give Enzo Maresca the similar time at Chelsea will start to compete. And so, mate, I just think in an era where he gets plenty of stick on a regular basis when things don't work out, how about a little pat on the back for Enzo Maresca and what he does? And by the way, when he runs down the touchline all the way to his teammates and back, I don't want a red card for that, mate. Those are scenes.
I know.
Those are Jose Mourinho. Those are Jurgen Klopp. Those are things that we all watch and want as football fans. Yeah. So, but all that and the red card, Enzo Maresca's my underappreciated performer of the week.
Very, very well presented. Very well said, Robbie Earle.
Thank you, sir.
And I think I'm a fan of him. I've always liked him. I'm really nerdy with some of the stuff that I get into with football, watching what he does tactically. Didn't read what he did at the weekend. I like it. And I tell you what is interesting, Rob, a couple of things. Remember, he didn't have his best player in Cole Palmer, and the way that he motivated this group for this game after all that was very impressive. But you said you jumped on something which I'll follow up on. He's building. And you gave the example, which example did you give? Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool.
Jurgen Klopp did,
I'll give you another example. We're seeing it right now play out, and Mikel Arteta. He has been building for many seasons, and with Liverpool having to do it, Arsenal having to do it, I think Pep was quicker, but he didn't get its success straight away. To be a champion in England, it isn't something that often comes round very suddenly. I mean, I'm sure there's examples, Leicester City maybe suddenly, but often you have to build. And and we could look back, and say, well, he was building, got a bit of stick, got through some difficult times, won the World Club Cup, and was building, had to deal with different players coming in and out, Rob, and that's been criticism. Well, just what makes it difficult, the job difficult, is having to readjust, have new players. Oh, he's another winger, he's a new defender, he's a new midfielder.
To your question, Rob, though, to your point, do Chelsea allow you to build? Liverpool allowed Klopp.
Yeah.
Arsenal have allowed Mikel Arteta. Will Chelsea allow him the time that might be 3 more years of building to get where they got, or will, the spotlight and the gossip and it's Chelsea and they don't keep people too long unless you win? Might that be turnover before we get the chance to see the build outright?
Well, that's a great question, right? And I think the pertinent parts to this are the ownership, the fans, and the dual directors of football. Lawrence Stewart, Paul Winstanley, these guys that are implementing this very unusual strategy of buying all these young players. Surely those two guys, Rob, have a huge influence to the ownership and how this project's going. So when you ask that question, will he get chance to build it? I hope those two guys back him and suggest to the ownership that he's worth sticking with. The only loose cannon in all this are the fans. And if there's a run of games where he's not getting results, the fans turn that club into a very difficult environment for the manager, where it sometimes becomes untenable. I hope they don't have that sort of run, and I hope he does get a chance to build, Rob. So, no, I like that shout. I was actually surprised at how good they were, Chelsea, with all the problems that they've got. And they really kind of deserved, late though the goal was, in Estevao, Rob. And just a quick line on Estevao, we've had a few glimpses of him. We saw him in the Club World Cup playing against Chelsea, of course. Gets his goal. You know, he's 18.
Proper,
he's
isn't
a
he?
talent,
Proper, mate.
a real talent. You know,
If you get Garnacho going the other side of the pitch, mate, and him one side, I mean,
but that's new
with
again, isn't it,
Neto,
Rob? That's new again.
Yeah,
new players to get used to everything. So, no, I really like Chelsea, Rob, and that's a good shout. Now let's flip it over to Liverpool, Rob, and you know that's 3 defeats now.
3 on the bounce, 3 on the bounce, all competitions,
Go on then, mate. So just quickly, I'll set you up with the team. I mean, like it was kind of near their strongest team, isn't it? I mean, obviously the goalkeeper changed. Alisson was out.
Yeah.
Mamardashvili went in and looked okay. You had a back four of Bradley, Konate, Van Dijk and Kirkez. Your midfield 3 from last year. Salah from last year on the right. Isak, the most expensive player in the history of the world, whatever, up front. And Gakpo, your consistent number 11 on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Why are they not, or did they not, get a result?
It's a good question. So, let me start with the 2 fullbacks, my friend. Which fullbacks in modern day football are very key players in terms of when you're building out the back. I think neither of the 2 fullbacks, Bradley had a difficult day against Garnacho on one side, came off at half time. And probably, it's not just in some respects, not this fault. Let me say, defensively, when Liverpool were looking to build up, their build-up play was really poor. Right. It was really poor, mate. I was keeping an eye. Konate, who came off with injury, is struggling on, I think, in build-up. I don't think it's Bradley. Kirkez is still to settle into Liverpool. I think I'd put Andy Robertson back in at the moment.
Yeah.
I think the midfield got
smothered. They got smothered by Chelsea.
Smothered by athletic, young, mobile players who stopped them playing Robs. And then what I would say is, and I wrote this down, that in an ideal world, Salah and Isak will bring you 50 Premier League goals between them. The moment they don't look like they're going to bring you 5. Isak's still waiting for form, and we've not had the connections. Salah's way off the player that scored last season. Gakpo does his role in there. I know Kirkez come on. But their intensity, Rob, not only to attack, but sustain attacks and keep the ball in the last third is nowhere near what it was last season. And whether the midfield's played a part in that. So what I'm basically saying is, and I wrote down, there's very few connections in this Liverpool team and lots of vulnerability at the moment.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure if that's something that can be rejigged in a couple of weeks and they get back to purring, or it's something a little bit longer term that needs attention.
Yeah, I think it's longer term that needs attention. I mean, but immediate issue in this game was Conor Bradley at right back, Rob.
Yeah,
and I think the 2 players that were expected to take over from Trent Alexander-Arnold, and that's another subject. You know, the more people are looking at Liverpool now, and I agree with it, the more you can say they're missing the influence of Trent going into midfield, playing the creative passes, being the guy that's going to feed the little guy, Mo Salah on the right-hand side. Is Mo missing Trent Alexander-Arnold? The midfield players missing him, moving into midfield, allowing the other guys to move up. So, and it didn't always play. So right-back was an issue. Got a yellow card quickly, and it was only a matter of time before the manager has to make a change. Szoboszlai goes back. Florian Wirtz comes into midfield. The left-back has been an issue. I mean, it's another thing, Rob, and obviously careful how we say this and talk about it. Obviously, we know there's changes around the team. Less so, he kind of went back to a little bit of tried and tested when Wirtz is on the bench and et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, there was Virgil van Dijk, Rob. I know whether you saw the quote. I saw it reported a few times, basically sort of saying, like, I repeatedly said, I'm paraphrasing here, that this was going to be a difficult season for what's happening on it.
I did see that.
But also off the field. Of course, he's referencing the tragedy of Diogo Jota, and I get it. I get it, Rob. How hard
it's a difficult
it
thing
be.
to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not
players.
something that you. But you know, players. We've seen the reaction. We were there the day with Mo Salah on the pitch. We know what it's meant to this group of players, and it can be affecting them in many different ways.
Yeah, it could be, and I don't want to. You know, we don't have to expand on that. It's just interesting when the captain kind of references that, and I think it's a valid. It would be a valid understandable kind of comment to make, given
for sure.
the trauma in that club around that
yeah.
period leading into this season. So it probably, like anything, Rob, there's never one reason why
it's a number
something's
of.
not going well. It's a number of, combination of.
Can I chuck you? It's a bit of a leading sort of question, but I just want to chuck it in anyway. You know, Liverpool this summer spent a shed load of money on taking this club to the next level, having the depth that's required, you know, going deep in all competitions. And I think we talked on the podcast, and we pointed to the fact that bedding some players in is going to be as difficult as Arne Slot coming in last season and taking over Jurgen Klopp's team. But if you look at Wirtz, Isak, Ekitike, Kerkez, and Frimpong, I dare say it's only Ekitike who's really made a mark so far.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it, isn't it, Rob? When we talked about the players that are sadly not longer at the football club, you know, you need your new guys to come in, and I don't want to be the guy to say I thought this could be an issue, but when you've got of your outfield, I've said it so many times, 4 or 5 changes to the champions. That's kind of a lot of positions in a team that has to be hit the ground running, because to win the Premier League title, you know, you can't slip up too many times. You can't lose more than 4 or 5 games, and then you're going to be out of it. So those players, that's a good point you make. Those players haven't made a mark yet, and that's not to say, Rob, that they won't. And I always felt like my kind of pre-season thought was, wow, like these players they're signing, but it could take a little bit of time. And in that time, they might slip up enough to kind of give Arsenal and maybe others a chance to win it.
Yeah.
I feel like the team will get better. I feel like Florian Wirtz will get better. I feel like Isak. I just feel for Ekitike, because he started off great. And we had this conversation, Rob, when we saw him, like, do they really need Isak? Do you really want to upset the trend right now of Ekitike coming in, being the main guy, Anfield scoring the goals, starting brilliantly, and then getting pushed onto the bench? So it is a combination of things, but I just reiterate, there's still a lot of good players there, and I expect Arne Slot to get them grooving. I think, as we're seeing, it's going to take a number of weeks, if not months.
There is a little bit of worry about centre-back there now, mate, with Konate coming off and talk about it being an injury. Obviously, the kid Giovanni Leone is out for the season. They didn't get Gay. I mean, that could become. I mean, Joe Gomez has been a reliable, great servant for them. You know, he has played Gravenberch back there when he's needed to as an option. But you know, if Konate's out for any length of time, it causes a little bit of a problem to Arne Slot and his team.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they go and try and get Mark Gay again in January?
In January, yeah.
You know, the football club, Crystal Palace, they're in a great spot in the league. I don't know whether they'll feel like they can turn down another. I mean, January, Rob, what was it, 30, 40
Probably
million?
30, 40 in it, 30, 40 in that, or 6 months wait and get nothing.
You get for free. You know, do they want to turn down 40 million?
It's going to be a big call, isn't it?
I mean, Liverpool need, and there's a thought that others might be in for him.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to go to Liverpool, and Liverpool's a gigantic club. I still think Liverpool, if they want him in January, they can go and get him, and that would make a big difference. So, yeah, just a few issues.
Just on that one, mate. Finishing up, do you see? Is there anything in looking at Liverpool when so far with Arne Slot and Liverpool, they've generally been leading the way, and things have gone pretty much to form. You know, the 10-point gap, their form dropped off at the end of last season, but they had such a gap they won it by 10 points. Is there anything in seeing a different side of Liverpool if Arsenal can push on a little bit, and we'll talk about Arsenal next, like chasing it a little bit, not being top of the tree?
Yeah, I don't know how that affects the team. I don't know how that inspires them. Does it motivate them to try and catch? Does it sort of like... Does it burst that bubble a little bit? Like, you know, I mean, but everybody thought that Liverpool were going to run away with it. That there wasn't like a lot of people said, forget about it. If they get Isak as well, forget about it.
It's done,
and it's just, you know, it's just not that easy in this league right now. And you know, the defensive side of things, Rob, we said that this wasn't sustainable to score those late winning goals, to win, to stay top of the league. And I said, didn't I? Was it to you? I said, like, the 3 things that could happen here. You know, they're going to keep. They've got to figure out the defending. Will they find it? You know, or will they not and then drop points? Well, that's what they're doing right now. They got 9 goals conceded in 7, which when I look at the top of the table, Chelsea have 9 goals in 7th. And then you're right down to 10th place with 11, Manchester United. So, top teams don't concede that amount of goals. That remains for me to be the one major concern for Arne Slot. And I know the talent they've got going forward. You've got to maybe rethink the structure of the team or some of the personnel to start making clean sheets or keeping those clean sheets. Else, gaining points is going to be harder.
Let's move it to the Gunners, my friend.
Yeah.
Arsenal tilt to West Ham 0, a West Ham team that have dogged Arsenal over the last couple of seasons. I think 2023, 2024, when they were going for titles, West Ham beat them in games that became quite pivotal against Arsenal. Remember the one when he's tried to flick it over Declan Rice, wasn't it, in midfield, and they got done. They got done at home a couple of times. But, I mean, none of that at the Emirates this weekend. Arsenal, I think you were doing this game, and it was one of those where we weren't sure. I watched the first half, and then I watched the second half of Manchester United, just so we were across a couple of games. I mean, my takeaway, Rob, watching the game was, wow. The football that they played and the control which they had, and this is including their captain going off in a time when if Odegaard goes off, we start thinking, they're going to lose something. They didn't miss a beat. Zubimendi comes on, Rice drops into a slightly more advanced role and dominates the game, scores a goal. I thought that was pretty good, and to the point, Rob, where I'm saying right now, and I'm saying at the top of the show, the best footballing team in the league by distance is Arsenal at the moment.
Yeah, it is, Rob.
Distance.
Yeah, I mean, I like the lineup. A lot of people have been saying, like, come on, Mikel, let's throw some of those attacking players out there. It was West Ham United at home. I think he knew how Nuno was going to approach the game. It was going to be defensive, so he did get his attacking players out there. But with Odegaard and Eze and Rice in midfield, that's kind of nice, right? And then Odegaard sadly has to go off. Apparently, I think the reports are an MCL knee injury, which is not the worst.
Not the ACL, it's not the worst,
but it's still not good. So he had to go off. Rice goes a little higher. Zubimendi comes on. I just like that midfield kind of setup in midfield, and just they look like a team they're on a mission. They're a team that looks like, and I say this a lot, like it looks like they realise something special's happening, and I think it's there for them. The intensity, the football, the quickness of the football, the attacking, the skilled nature of them. They gave nothing to West Ham. I don't think West Ham United had a shot on target the whole game. So a combination of bright play, enthusiastic support, strong, powerful. Tactically, the system is pretty grooved now. Yes, there's been new players. Saka's back playing on the right. Trossard was lively. Eze will improve. I think the type of player that Roberto Eze is, there's going to be games where he looks incredible. There's going to be some quiet ones. I think that's the way he is. But I liked it, Rob. And I, like you before, I'm going to go pretty early here because it's important with our chat to my underappreciated performer. And I don't think anybody's going to get this, and I don't think you would have thought this, but I'll tell you what it was, because I watched him real close. Riccardo Calafiori is my underappreciated performer, and I'll tell you exactly why. Not only is he a physical beast of a defender to get past, he's a threat from set pieces. He drifts forward at left back and has scored goals and will continue to be a threat going forward. But most of all, his ability to roll inside into the midfield, the centre of midfield, this big guy who's a centre-back / left-back, and be very neat and tidy on the ball, Rob. You don't see him giving the ball away much. Miles Lewis-Skelly has done it, and we loved him doing it. Calafiori can do it equally as well, Rob, and he's got the physicality and the threat from set pieces and the strength defensively that Lewis-Skelly hasn't got. So I just think, I don't know whether Arsenal, I'm sure they do, I'm sure the manager does, realise what a kind of a player he is, Rob, that can do a bit of everything. And you might scratch your head earlier to say, why is Calafiori playing? He's good, But Miles Lewis-Skelly looks so good. I'm telling you, you're seeing it week in, week out. He can do it all. And when I saw him twinkle toes in midfield, keeping possession, plays alongside Declan Rice, allows the other two to get forward, Eze and Odegaard. There's that back, the square box in midfield that he can bring. I mean,
well, the thing with him,
important.
Rob, to your point, the thing with him, he turns up. I saw him one time. He was like right side, not right wing, but inside right. And playing give and goes. He's a proper footballer.
He's a proper footballer. Surprised me a little bit.
I absolutely agree with the shout. I think it's a great shout. I mean, the other thing is he looks like an Adonis. I mean, he struts around the place like he, you know, and he's got that
He's
about
got the build,
him.
he's got the hair flowing from
He can play as. I mean, he'd push David Ginola on the hair front. He could play as a third centre back if need be, Rob. When they have to go that way, he falls in, which he does for the Italian team. I think it's a brilliant shout. I think he's taken the level. You know, Miles Lewis-Skelly's now's got to raise his level another level to play. But I think you get a different type of defender, and I think that's important for Arsenal to have. You know, we're talking Zinchenko and Tierney were the two before them. It's a very different level and competition we're talking now.
Very different.
You know, Mikel Arteta's talked about how Calafiori upsets opposition when he rolls in, when he goes a bit higher, when sometimes he goes as a left winger and Trossard comes in. I mean, there's all those elements to his game. And it's really funny, Rob, that you pick him because he was on my thought. And you know who else was on my thought who was very close to being my under pressure? Timber was the other one. Jurrien Timber, my friend.
How good is he? How good is he?
In an era where I've talked about fullbacks become so important, not only with your possession, but the defending, the rolling in, the roles that they have now.
Strong, isn't he?
Oh, mate. He's got to get a new... They talk about a new extended contract. Yeah. I can absolutely see why. I mean, we used to think Ben White was a player back there and could play. I mean, Jurrien Timber's like next level again, which is where, you know, the depth is. So, no, it's a great shout, the Arsenal fullbacks, and certainly Calafiori. I am absolutely 100% behind that one. It's a great call. It's a great call, my friend. I'm also going to give you a call of two people who are appreciated, but I just want to single them out. Bukayo Saka, mate, has played 200 Premier League games. 200. I think I played 250, 260 in my career.
I played just over 200 Premier League games in my career.
Yeah, he's played 200. I mean, he's going to be 600-700 if he stays fit and goes the course. Yeah. He's had 100 Premier League goal involvements, either scoring or assisting, mate.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, it's incredible numbers for somebody who's a powerful, wide guy who, you know, plays on the right-hand side, you know, Salah-esque with what he does. You know, he's one of their own. He's brought them through. He hasn't cost them a penny. I just feel like he's not underappreciated, but wow. I mean, superb.
Tip of the cap.
The other fella, the other guy, and I mean, he has been underappreciated, and we've talked him up, and so Declan Rice, my friend.
Yeah.
And what I want to say about him, and it's not necessarily his play, although that's part of who he is in the goal and that. It was the situation at the weekend that I was a bit peed off with the West Ham fans who were booing him, and I know that happens when he was getting a lot of stick, and I know that happens when, you know, an ex-player moves. But this is a guy who didn't leave on a free for no money. He played his heart out. I think he wins a European trophy. He leaves for £100 million, $123 million. He goes to another football club. When he scores the goal, he doesn't celebrate. He's got respect for the club and the set of fans and whatever. And yet people still were booing him. I just didn't... that didn't sit right with me. I get when some players get booed, and I get when some players leave in certain circumstances, and it's not great. This guy did every single thing he could till the day he left for West Ham Football Club. Yeah, he did. And I just thought that was bad treatment. And by the way, he's playing as well as any midfield player in the Premier League right now.
I like those two shouts, Rob. I'm going to finish the conversation with Arsenal with me just really quickly running through the subs bench. Kepa, very experienced Chelsea goalkeeper a few years ago. Mosquera has been very good as a centre back to come and help out. Ben White talked about how good he is as a right back. Martinelli, By the way, these are all on the bench. Has come on before, scored goals, really important player.
Yeah.
Christian Norgard, last season's captain at Brentford, one of the best players at that football club. Ethan Wanieri, through the academy, getting better, can come on and give you silk and give you creativity in the middle of the park. Also could come on from the middle of the park is Mika Marino, could score goals. Different sort of player, more physical, certainly gets in the box. How about Martin Zubamendi to come into the game, can knit things together from a deeper role.
Yeah.
And finally, Miles Lewis-Skelly that can come on and be an excellent... I mean, that is some amount of backup on the bench to help the first team whenever they might need it. So I hope we haven't gone over the top there on Arsenal, Rob. And, you know, it's a long way to go. And the hardest thing in sports is to close, is to finish, is to get over the line. And obviously they want to do it. I just thought... You know, Rebecca asked us on the last segment of the show today, Rob, what's, you know, going into the international break of the first 7 games in the Premier League season, what's on your mind? On my mind, I mean, there's so many clubs on my mind, obviously, but I think Arsenal's progression, the adding to the attack in the summer, and they went from the goalkeeper to defenders to midfield players. Now the front line's been updated.
Yeah.
It looks pretty strong.
In finishing and agreed totally with the Arsenal thing, Rob, I go back to just over 7 days ago when Arsenal were 1-0 down at Newcastle with 4 minutes of time, and Liverpool were drawn back with Palace and were looking to go on to win. There would have been an 8-point gap between those two teams. There was 5 at the time. There would have been an 8-point gap. And let me tell you, mate, it would have started. It would have started.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't want him to do well. There's a lot of haters out there.
All of a sudden, that result last weekend, the result this weekend, Arsenal are sitting top of the pile, and it's a very different look. And all of a sudden, the spotlight falls a bit on Liverpool. And that's what's great about this Premier League, mate, and why we love it so much.
Brilliant.
Let's move things on, because we spent a bit of time on those 2 games. Let's go to Old Trafford. Always a story. Ruben Amorim. With his team getting beat last week against Brentford, a lot of spotlight on whether he'd keep his job, whether he had to win to keep his job. The news seemingly coming out of Manchester United that he's fine, he's safe. Obviously, we're not happy with things, but we want him to continue. He got a win, Rob. He got a 2-0 win, 2 goals early. Mason Mount was a big decision. Dropped Cunha to the bench, put Mount in. Mount scored a lovely goal. Chesko gets 2 and 2, which can only do him some good. I thought it was one of his better games in the red of Manchester United. Looked more like a centre forward, and they got people closer to him, Rob. So it looked a little bit more joined up. He got his win. I think it's the first clean sheet of the season. They got Lamens in goal for his first Premier League start. A lot of good things, I thought, for United. And a little bit hanging on it at the end. I mean, could have been, I thought, a penalty kick as it Traore went down on Lamens' challenge, which he got a yellow card for simulation, which is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. But they hung on. They played decent football. There was more control. And I was thinking, Rob, about Mrs. Amorim, who must be enjoying a Sunday roast today.
Finally. She hasn't enjoyed many Sunday roasts, has she?
She hasn't enjoyed many Sunday roasts at all, but hopefully she's in a country pub somewhere in Manchester, enjoying a nice Sunday roast and a glass of red wine and enjoying Manchester, because there haven't been too many days when I don't think that's happened in the Amorim household. Yeah,
fair play. Sunderland at home, no drama. They get the goals. Your expensive striker, $99 million striker, scores a nice goal, tucks it away quite nicely. My only little gripe, and there's no gripe now when they get the result.
The win and the put,
And Mason Mount scores a goal. So I'm just going to, I do want to see Cunha and Burmo and Šeško. I do want to see that. Don't tell me that the manager will feel that they can't afford to, it's too attacking to have all 3 players out there. That's where the money was spent. Like, don't tell me we're not going to, you're going to have an expensive forward on the bench where there's other parts of the team that needed investment, needed upgrading, centre midfield, goalkeeper, right wing back.
I hear you, Rob, but might his position be, and listen, we've all said about the system and fitting players in, but might his position be, you know what, we're not quite structured enough to play those 2, so one of those 2 will play, and Mason gives me a bit more defensive structure, stability, maybe when we haven't got the ball. And I know what you're saying. We want to see United attack. Yeah. But if that means we're going to lose games and I've got to make a tough call on this early on,
okay,
I don't know, from now till Christmas, it's either one or the other of those 2. They can fight for a place with a big lad. And, Mason's going to play as long as he's playing a part. I don't know. I'm just saying to play devil's advocate. Listen, if those two were playing and we're talking about another defeat, mate, we could be talking about the guy's job. Never mind whether we like seeing him or not.
Well, to your point, the game before against Brentford, the front three did play.
Yeah.
So maybe he didn't like the defensive kind of compactness with those. I don't know. And maybe it's irrelevant.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I suppose Cunha hasn't scored yet, has he? Which we know he's a quality player. Yeah. When the team's playing better, I get you. Bruno would want him higher, but I think sometimes we're going to make a couple of tough calls, and maybe one of those is one of the two underneath it. I'll rotate him if there's enough games, enough competition, and if you're scoring, you stay in the team. If you don't, maybe we change it out. But no, I think it's a great win for them prior to a break. The noise can drop a little bit. He can concentrate on working with some of the players who are obviously not on international duty. And they line themselves up to a particularly decent game at Liverpool when we get back.
So, I look forward to that. Up to 10th in the Premier League table, Rob. And it's worth a little pause now as we go into an international break. And that's a good chunk of the games. It's a good start after 7. I just want to get a quick line on just expectations, Man United, Rob. What's acceptable, what's not, in terms of finishing positions, where they're going to be hovering around, where they're going to be spending their time in this table. What's going to be acceptable for the manager to sort of for the ownership or the fans to feel like we're going in the right direction now. We're up to 10th. Are they got to be getting up to around the top 6, or is between 6th and 10th okay, Rob, for the fans and for the ownership?
I like 8. I like 8 and up. Okay. I love between 8 and 4.
Yeah.
I think 8 and 4 is the next
which isn't amazing,
logical step.
I think it's realistic.
A good proper step. And then from there, we think about, okay, how do we start to break back into that top 4? I mean, that'll bring European football, which is important to Manchester United at whatever level that is. And I'm sure, we know they want to be in Champions League, but that might be a little way down the road.
Yeah.
But I think 8 and above, Rob, and some consistency. Yeah. I think putting some back-to-back wins and showing
like it's going in the right direction.
Yeah. Then I think everything feels better that way. And the other just thing, Rob, and it can't be easy being Ruben Amorim, to be fair, since he's taken over the football club last year and the start of this. There's an honesty about him, Rob, that I like.
Yeah, I do too.
There's an honesty that I know sometimes he says the headline things and maybe he says the wrong things but there's an honesty and he wants to get this thing right and he wants to be successful.
Yeah, he cares about it.
That comes out. Yeah, he cares. And I think that's important. So, good win.
Good Sunday roast for Mr. and Mrs.
Good Sunday
Amorim.
roast for Mr. and Mrs. Amorim. Away you go.
Brilliant. All right, what's next? Next are the results.
Where are we?
Yeah, let's spin around.
We've got some of the results, let's go quickly through. So we've got Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. So a Brentford team that I thought Rob looked to want to just stay in a game more than win the game at times. And then, maybe, was it Thiago had the chance late on against Donnarumma where if he does a little bit better, it might bring him back into it. Yeah. It's a City team that's still, and I thought you made a really good point in terms of Haaland. I wrote a note about Haaland, Rob, because like when that goal goes in, I mean, was it 9 Premier League goals now and another 7 in other competitions and internationally, all that. I kind of wrote, Haaland should come with a government health warning. Like you have cigarettes and there's a government health warning, like this is bad for your health. I mean, he's just a brute, isn't he? He's a brute, mate. He runs through centre-backs like school kids.
And stays on his feet. He has good balance.
Mate.
He bumped into the guy, he bashed him 3 times, bullied him a little bit, stayed on his feet, still dragged the ball onto his left foot where he shoots, scores.
And so I just wanted to make it that connection. See, so Thiago's running through 3, really. These people chasing him. And see how his touch never allowed him to get the finish. Yeah. Haaland's bumping into people and knocking them off and still has the ability to have the ball in the right control to finish the goal. That's why he's special. And I thought you made a valid point, like, as great as he is, they need others. They're going to need others.
Yeah.
I thought it was a big win. I thought it means they're still in and around it, Robin. I don't think at this stage we can be talking them out. The Rodri The Rodri injury's a blow again.
Yeah.
The Rodri, it looks like at this stage we're not going to be able to rely on him on a regular basis until, he's got that level of fitness back and that match fitness.
Yeah, and back to those wingers, Rob, isn't it? I think all champion teams, for as long as we can remember, have had goal-scoring wingers.
Yeah.
Maybe Omar Marmoush is going to be the guy that he's got an eye for goal when he comes back, maybe on the left-hand side. But Savinha, I really like Savinha and Oscar Bob.
Yeah.
I think the man at Pep said about it afterwards that the wingers have got to start chipping in with goals. We saw that before. Remember that season when Gundogan got a crazy amount of goals from midfield?
I think he got
Kevin
12,
De Bruyne
13, didn't he?
is always there. Riyad Mahrez before that. There's always been others to score. And, Earle and Haaland, I think they're the top goal scorers, right? I think they've scored the most goals, Man City, 15 goals so far.
Yeah.
So the goals are there, but, it's all from one guy, really. So that's something to watch. When you watch them play in the first half, Rob, you're like, you just can't rule out Man City because they're so dominant when they get the play going. I didn't think Brentford did I thought disappointing, like Lee Dixon in commentary. Expected a little bit more. Just find a way to make it uncomfortable for City instead of just sitting back and being passive.
I just thought they felt like they wanted to stay in it and give themselves a chance.
I guess they did at 1-0, but
not great.
Yeah.
Should we move to St James's Park? Newcastle 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Newcastle starting to get a little bit of rhythm. Guimaraes and Baltimore with another penalty kick. I thought it was nice for Baltimore. What was it? The Bayern Munich? Was it Karl-Heinz Rummenigge was talking about the kind of money? I just don't think that's helpful and doesn't need to be. But Baltimore is scoring the goals and Newcastle going in the right direction. The story probably from that game, Rob, is Nottingham Forest.
It is.
Is Ange, what is it, 8 games in charge now, no wins? I think a couple of draws in the Premier League.
Is it 7 or 8? 7 or 8.
7 or 8. But, the questions are being asked about how long he'll be there. Will he still be there after the break and all that stuff?
It's a valid question, Rob. I saw a report on the Daily Mail Friday saying that, there's reports that, they're going to discuss it. Like he could go in this window. We had a little chat in our studio, Rob, and and Rebecca asked us, like, is he going to be there?
He'll be there? Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to say yeah, because I didn't think this game was awful from Forest. It was the approach that would make sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're a great team anyway, Nottingham Forest. I'm not sure anybody else does a lot differently. I know there hasn't been a ton of changes from last year, but Anthony Elanga was a really important player. It's hard to repeat. I thought Nuno Espirito Santo did an amazing job last year.
Did a great job,
Got about as much as you could possibly get out of this team. So there's always going to be a drop-off. Of course, Stephen Warnock said, you know what, I think he's going to go. Well, what do you think, Rob? What do you think the appetite is with Mr. Marinakis making a change?
I think he's got 2 or 3 more games. I think we're talking 10 games. For some reason, I feel like he'll get there.
The November window, Rob, maybe. The November, international break.
And then somebody thinking about doing something in maybe the window. Or certainly just getting a different look from the set of players. The issue and the reason why that's in doubt is that Mr. Marinakis, who's in charge, will make decisions not solely based on football. It's personality, it's other things. Nuno didn't leave the football club because he weren't getting enough results and he wasn't happy enough with the football because they had a personal falling out and a disagreement.
And he brought in Edu.
And he brought in Edu. But what I'm saying, it's not always just what happens on the pitch.
No.
So if there's a clash in any ways, or Edu's sort of said, I'm not sure I can work with Ange and blah, 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 he could be out of the door. He could easily be out the door in this next 7 days, and I wouldn't be surprised. I tend to think that having chosen him, there's a bit of a relationship between the two. I think they're both Greek-born, and I think he'll try and give him as long as he can. And I think that's 2 or 3 more games, max.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope he gives him a few. I think it's like 27 days, isn't it? He's been there. Is it 27, 21? I think it's like 27 days he's been there. And there's been a lot of games come thick and fast, and no wins yet. But you got to give him a little bit of time to see if some of his philosophies and all that can start bearing fruit, and they can, because the football is entertaining. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of
just.
sorry.
I suppose the question they'll start to ask is, can somebody do better with this group of players? Yeah. That's the crux of it. And maybe Ange isn't suited to stopping goals going in and defending, resolutely, and then counter-attacking. He wants the ball, and maybe that doesn't suit the group of players. I also think, Rob, just very quickly on that, I think Forest looks like one of those clubs where the temperature of the dressing room will be kept. Like, one or two will be asked how they think he's doing.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, I hope that sort of stuff doesn't get back to the owner. And I'm just looking at their next couple of games, right, Mr. Earle. They've got Chelsea at home next, right?
Yeah.
Their next league game after that, they have Porto at home. Then they have Bournemouth away, difficult, and then Man United at home. I'm looking at the league table. I think right now, West Ham United under Nuno Espirito Santo, this is hilarious, isn't it, really, the former. I think they're going to find ways to start getting some points. I think he's an excellent manager, Nuno. And if they get a couple of results, Nottingham Forest go into the bottom three. And if they spend any amount of time in the bottom
Chelsea,
three...
Bournemouth and Man United, it's the Man United going, they could get 1 point out of those games.
Yeah, and West Ham are only 1 point behind right now. If they get a win in any of those three games,
I think
could be in the bottom
these
three.
other things, I think that the promoted teams all doing okay, maybe Burnley apart. I think other teams kicking on. I think all that will have an effect.
There'll be a worry of relegation at Nottingham Forest.
There will be a worry, Well, let's see how that one goes. We'll obviously keep across everything as we take the break. A team who, honestly, you could have put the whole team in the underappreciated category. Bournemouth 3, Fulham 1. Sashinon gets a goal for Fulham. Got to like how his career's come back on track, Rob, because you remember the Spurs move and things didn't really go for him. And then our friend Semenyo comes up with brilliant two important goals. Clive scores a beauty. And Bournemouth do what Bournemouth do, continue to play the right kind of football, continue to defy the odds of losing some of your best players and affecting the outcome of results.
Couple of points here. Two outstanding players they've got. Justin Kluivert scores a brilliant goal. Goal from midfield, sticks in the top corner in awful conditions, and Anton Semenyo. Yeah. And also, again, we kind of say the same people each time I feel like with Bournemouth, and the manager. The manager turning up the attacking dial. How many times have I said that? Like, when you're down, come on, manager, show me something. Brings a defender off Rob, plays with three at the back, throws attacking players on there, gets in front, and then actually brings another defender in later on to shore things up a little bit defensively. Ryan Christie comes into midfield. Tyler Adams comes out, more attacking threat. And with those attacking players that they've got, it's quite the story.
He affects games, doesn't he, this fella? He does affect games. And that's a unique skill that managers have. Some people like for like, and you see the team, it doesn't really change anything that's gone on. This guy knows how to affect it and go for things. And fair play to him. I mean, at some point, people are going to be looking at this guy. I know he only signed short-term contracts. He's talked about being really happy with Bournemouth, and Bournemouth's an ambitious club in terms of ownership. But he's another one on that I would think starting to get on the radar of some of the big boys, mate, if jobs become available. Yeah,
I mean, it's like Oliver Glasner. I always feel like if you have a good season, then that's interesting. If you have another good season,
back it up. Yeah,
there's something in it. There's something in it to do that, and he's on that track right now. Semenyo. Whether somebody comes in January, I mean, he's such a good player. I was surprised he didn't go in the window. They lost, of course, other players, but it's remarkable how so many expensive players. I think they made $100 million in profit, Rob, and lost all those defenders.
Incredible.
And brought players, but still at $100 million, and they're absolutely flying high.
Doing the job.
Fourth right now in the Premier League. It's a story, and it's a brilliant story at little old Bournemouth. Well done.
Let's go to Ellen Road. Leeds 1, Tottenham 2. So a little bit of this game, and you know what, Rob? The value of man management and good managers, and Thomas Frank, Matthias Tell left out of the European group, probably not happy, ends up scoring a lovely goal, slightly deflection. Kudus, who's done so well and number of assists, but looking for his first goal. And then you see the manager after, mate, and he's hugging them, and he's getting them on side, and just having your group, understanding your group, getting the best out of every individual, listen, we've been in dressing rooms where everybody's got to feel $1 million, whether you're the striker who's earning the most money and scoring the goals, or the right back who's earning the least amount of money. A good manager makes everybody feel good, and I think that's one of the great strengths of Thomas Frank, as well as he's a tactically smart guy and he knows how to put a team together. He looks like he builds a real relationship with these players.
Yeah, that's that side of it. It's a really important side of it, and I starting to feel a little bit more connected to what's going on at Tottenham, Rob. I think I said to you, like, I ain't seen enough of him yet because he changes stuff so much. And this was the same again, really. I mean, he switched systems late in the game. He's got a ton of good options. He's got a bright attacking front line. There might have been some that say they're striker light. Richarlison can be inconsistent. Solanke's got he's had surgery. Mokudas, Rob, looks like a really, really good acquisition. Odebear, Xavi Simons. You've got Brennan Johnson. There's quite a exciting, young, dynamic front line. I think the midfield is enhanced massively by Palhinha. Palhinha
he's
massively improved and added some defensive nous and some experience and reading the game.
It's what they've needed, haven't they? Under Ange, they didn't have that player who could protect a little bit.
And on the back four, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven and Udogie, that's a good back four. That don't now just leave the defensive area and bomb forward. There's more protection involved. There's less of a high line. It's less stressful back there. It's a good team, and I was excited to see what a conventional coach would do with this young squad. And there's still Archie Grace to come in. Jed Spence didn't play. Lucas Bergval's another midfield player, Rob. So the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm liking it. I thought this was an awkward game at Leeds, who I thought played well, particularly in the first half.
Did okay,
and they came through pretty strongly. So, and they're up to third place in the Premier League table as we go into this break. So I'm liking Thomas Frank, liking this new look Spurs. Very different to last year, but it looks more durable and more structured. Pretty good. Like it.
And to be fair, Daniel Farke's done a good job with Leeds, mate. He had a couple of chances late on. I think Calvert-Lewin and Peru, is it the left footer? Vicario comes up with a good save. So they're competitive and they look like they're going to have a good go at it this time around. So delighted for Leeds. Good 3 points for Tottenham. Let's move it to the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Everton 2, Crystal Palace 1. Palace go 1-0 up, and they're on a 19-game unbeaten run. I think it's 12 in the Premier League. But that goes to David Moyes and his Everton team. And it was interesting. I was listening to Jack Grealish after he was named man of the match with the late goal that he scores. Slightly fortuitous block that he gets in. But he talked about working with David Moyes and having the ability to change a game. Half time, I think it was Beto came on and Alcaraz came on for Barry and Diblin, who started in the starting 11, and it just gave him a little bit more ability to run in behind, a little bit more pace and possession to test the back three, the Palace that we talked of so well, and it changed the game. It put Everton more on the front foot. No doubt Palace a little bit fatigued from midweek in Europe. That's something they're going to have to deal with as the season goes on. But a great win for Everton. A great sort of goal for Jack Grealish, who, the goal was missing. And I know he's probably a bit disappointed not being in the England squad, having started the season that he started, but can do no more than continue to do what he does. And you can see how much he's reveling in being an important player back in the team again. Yeah,
I think he loves being the kind of the star a little bit and the maverick a little bit, a bit of attention around him. He's such a humble, lovely, what a guy he is, Rob. And the interview after sort of saying it shouldn't be me getting man of the match. It should be Adam Wharton, who's the best player on the pitch. Very humble. And he was in the right place at the right time. Interesting that David Moyes is encouraging him to get in the box more, to get more goals. With his quality, you should be getting a little bit more in terms of production of goals.
Wide players, you just said at City, innit? Wide players can't just be out there.
And maybe he didn't get enough at Man City, and maybe he'll get a few more now. But fair play to David Moyes. It looked like they were going to lose the game, and this record at the Hill Dickinson Stadium was going to go unbeaten, but they found a way. Come back in at 2-1. I mean, David Moyes, he's got the Midas touch in so many ways to keep this thing going at Everton. They're in 8th place right now, different looking team in that new stadium. You feel for Palace though, Robin. He can't go on forever. That's some run, by the way. That is some run.
Was it April? Right 6 months since they lost a game. It was back in April, mate, the last time they lost a game. So, incredible run. And as you say, that the European challenge is going to add another layer to them, but they'll be absolutely fine. And with Oliver Glasner, got one of the best progressive managers in the Premier League. Let's go to Aston Villa. A couple of goals for Marlon, 25 and 63 minutes. enough to give Aston Villa a 2-1 win against a Burnley team that are finding it hard to get results. And we've got Wolves 1, Brighton 1. Wolves 1-0 this time, and then another late equaliser. Was it against Spurs recently? They gave up a lead. Wolves, was it Spurs a couple of weeks or so ago?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think they gave a late goal.
They seem so close to winning this game, Rob.
Yeah,
and a team that needs a win. Absolutely needs a win.
Yet to win.
Yeah, and there's a really good header from Van Hecker for Brighton to make it 1-1, but you just feel for Wolves a little bit. And
he got himself a red card. Another manager with a red card, didn't he? Vitor Pereira, who's always got something to say.
Irresponsible behaviour, I think, is the category. I think apparently I think at the Times reported that he was seen kicking the ball towards a referee. They have a little dugout now, apparently. There's a referee's dugout, and apparently he kicked the ball towards the referee's area there. So frustrations there.
Yeah, we know what it's like, don't we? How difficult it is, and just to get his first win for the team. And he's a passionate guy, and I think the Wolves fans love that in him. So had to settle with a point as we go into the international break. Listen, mate, a little part of the podcast that we started to do this season, a little preview of a game coming up when we get back. So it's a couple of weeks before we get back. It's Sunday, October the 19th. Remember, it's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on the USA Network. So 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on the USA Network. Liverpool, 3 straight defeats, face Manchester United, who've yet to go in back-to-back games with Ruben Amorim in charge. Who wins this one and why, my friend?
Well, I think just real quick, I think Liverpool do get back to winning ways, Rob. I think Ugo Ekitike deserves a start again, and I know Isak's the big money guy, and, is there a way that you can play both of them? But I think we're going to see Ekitike again. And they're not far off. They're really not far off.
No,
There's a few little issues. Manchester United will go there with that system and get forced back a little bit. So, yeah, I would favour Liverpool. If they don't win that game, then that is a little concerning, given the run of form and Arne Slot trying to find the formula. He's gone back a little bit to last season's team, but we'll see. I want to see Ekitike. I think he was dynamic, effective, good finishing. For me, he should be starting up front. What's your immediate thoughts on this one?
Immediate thoughts has to be that that Liverpool get back to something like, I think, playing against Manchester United, which always means a little bit extra because of the history and rivalry of those two teams over the years. I also think from Manchester United's point of view, though, Rob, it's a great chance for them to be seen to taking a step. If they could go to Anfield and get a result, go back to back, talk about players who are in a bit of form. One or two might have some minutes in international football that might help them along the way. I just think it's a great opportunity for Manchester United to show that, we talked about top 8 and above. If they can go to Anfield and put a decent performance in it and get a result, then, all of a sudden we're looking at them very differently. So it's a game that I think both teams have a lot riding on it, if not that it's Liverpool v Manchester United, which means everything anyway. And from Liverpool's point of view, Rob, and there's lots of the defensive issues, the control of midfield. I'm looking for a good Liverpool day, a good Liverpool forwards day. Yeah. We haven't really had one, have we? For all that quality that we've got.
Salah's got to come along.
Mo kicking in, and a 3, 4, 5 when they're on it, you go, wow, that's what's we're so much looking forward to it. So I know we got a little bit of a break between now and then, but always a big game, always one to look forward to.
Just a final. If Man United find a way to win at Anfield,
yes,
they then just get 2 points behind Liverpool. Just 2 points behind Liverpool. I mean, that'd be
4 straight defeats for Liverpool. 4 straight defeats for Liverpool, mate. And all of a sudden, everything that was on Arteta and Arsenal turns to Liverpool and Arne Slot, which is what's great. I mean, honestly, I read a note after today's game where somebody said, it really just feels like the Premier League's getting started in earnest now.
I think so.
We really feel, once after we get over this international break, every game is going to really start to see in the quality. And those big games are going to be so important. Yeah. Listen, mate, great to catch up. Have yourself a great weekend off. I think it's the first time in over a year that Liverpool haven't sat top of the table. There's Arsenal win and the Gunners go 1 point ahead of the Reds. It was a good week for Bournemouth, Spurs, Man United, and the likes of Newcastle. We're going to take that week off for international break when you can catch up on all those World Cup qualifiers and international football. So we'll be back on Sunday. That's October the 19th. When Liverpool host Manchester United at Anfield. Kick-off 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on the USA Network. But for now, I'm Earle. He's Mustoe together with the two Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.